Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of the Greek New Testament, and I'm reading through Hebrews and up to chapter 12, and I got up to verse 14 here. So we get a section on the various warnings. So Irene diokati metapanton kai ton hagiasmon hu chorisoudes opsatai ton kurion. I might just hold it there. So diokete is an imperative from dioko, to pursue. In parts of the New Testament it can mean to persecute, to go after, but here it's just pursue, I think, or perhaps go after is still good. So pursue peace, meta pantone, with everyone, and tohagiasmon, and sanctification. Choris who, without which Udes, no one, opsatais, the future from horao, no one will see the Lord. Episkopuntes may, and then the next page, tis husteron, apotes caritos to theou, me tis oisda, pikrias anno, fuusa, enoklei, kai, diates, mianthosin poloi. I might just hold it there. So on the previous page, episkopuntes me. Episcopio, we get the word bishop, of course, from this. It means to look very carefully, to oversee, to watch out. May, lest, tis, anyone. Husteron is a participle from hustereo, and this meaning to fall short. So hustereo participle here, lest anyone falling short, probably have to put the verb to be in here, lest there is anyone falling short from the grace of God. May tis orisda. Orisda is a root of a plant. So lest any root here used metaphorically, pikrias, of bitterness. This is from pikria, first declension feminine abstract noun. You get pikros, bitter, adjective. This is pikria, the abstract noun. So lest any root of bitterness, fuusa, feminine participle agreeing with orisda, growing anno, upwards, enokle, subjunctive from enokleo, to cause trouble. So it might cause trouble, and many might, again subjunctive here, from miaino, for miainomai, it's to defile. So, and many may be defiled through it. So we get an aorist passive subjunctive here. Metis pornos a bebelos hos aso, hos anti brosios mias ap edeto ta prototokia hiautu. Lest there be any pornos, prostitution, connected with the verb the pernami, to sell, so lest there be any prostitution, or bebelos is an adjective meaning profane. It's being used here almost as a noun, profanity. It's an interesting word. It's the first part, the beta epsilon, is connected with the verb bino, to go, to step upon, and belos is a threshold. So it means to. So the original meaning was to step on the entrance way, and it's the opposite of the sacred. The sacred is a place where general person is not allowed to go. Bebelos is a place where anyone can step on it, can step on the threshold, and hence it comes to mean profane, as opposed to sacred, where only priests or holy people are allowed to go. Anyway, then later Greek it simply comes to mean profane, in the sense of the opposite of sacred. So let there be no prostitution, we might say profanity here, as of Esau, probably meant to be taken as a genitive here. Hos anti brosios mia, so who, this is from apodidomi, who gave away Another quite rare word, it's only here in the New Testament and rare otherwise, but you can see the roots of it, it's proto. And tokia, that tok is connected with tikto, to bear. So this is a neuter plural here. It has the sense of his birthright. So his own birthrights as the firstborn. So it's the birthrights of the eldest son, we might say. Hence the proton here. So he gave away his own birthrights as the eldest son, anti in return for brosis. This is from brosis, third declension, feminine noun, and it means food. So it's literally one piece of food. Probably we'd translate it as one meal rather than as food here. So he gave away his birthright as the eldest son in return for one meal. Iste, know, for know that hotiga met epeta thelon kleronomesai ten eulogian ape dokimaste metanoias ga topon hukurin kai per meta dacruon exetesa sautan. So for know that met epeta is just meta plus epeta, meaning afterwards. Although he wanted to kleronomesai, to inherit the blessing, apodokimaste, he was rejected. This has the sense of to fail the test, to be found wanting, to be tested and rejected. So here it's just perhaps he was rejected, for he did not find a place of repentance, genitive here. Now we get kaiper plus a participle, which is very good classical Greek. So kaiper, although, having sought after it, that is the repentance, I think, meta dacruon, with tears. So the writer here, of course, assumes all the way through here a very solid knowledge of Old Testament history and practices. Uga pros eleluthati pselephomeno kai kekao meno puri kai gnopho kai xopho kai thuele kai salpingos echo kai phono rematone heis hoi accusantes peretes antome prosthethenai autois logon. Now this little bit here, you can see from the little 3 here, there's a variant reading here, and in some manuscripts, and I noted some translations, they add in a dative from the word oros, a mountain, so they add in ore, but it's not in the best manuscripts, so I'll just translate it literally as it is. So this is from Pros Erchomai. So for you have not approached something which can be touched. This is that pselafao verb, which turns up elsewhere in the New Testament. It means to touch, to grope after. So for you have not approached that which can be touched, and that which has been burnt by fire. This is a perfect passive participle here from kaio, to burn. The aorist is ekausa, and this is the kekaumai is the perfect passive. So you have not approached that which can be touched, and that which has been burnt by fire, and you have not approached. We get all this string of datives here. Gnophos, word for darkness. Sophos, gloom. And thuele, well, it's often used for a storm or a wild, crazy wind. And you did not approach, so this is all, I think, referring back to Moses receiving the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. And you have not, we're getting all this string of datives, you have not approached the salpingos echo, we get our word echo from this, it's the sound of the trumpet, genitive from salpinx, and the sound literally of words, or the voice consisting of words. Notice the lovely chiasmus here. This is very good classical style, where you've got the two datives together here, and then the dependent genitives are on the outside. So you get a crossover, a chiasmus. It simply shows the writer was well versed in some of the techniques of classical rhetoric. Haes hoi. Now the haes here must refer back, I think, to the voice, the phonae. It could refer back to the salpinx, which is also feminine, but probably the phonae, to the voice, which those having heard pros aetesanto, they begged they begged for a word not to be added to them. So, well, it's not quite clear what the auto is here. It may mean refer back to the ramatone of words, so some word not to be added to the words, or perhaps it could be a dative of disadvantage to be added against them. Pros tithanai is the aorist passive from pros tithomai, which is to add. We get the word prosthetic from this, by the way. Uk epheron ga ta diastelomenon kan thurion thige to orus lithobole thesatai. So we get an explanatory gar here. They begged for a word not to be added to them, for they did not bear. They did not bear that which had been commanded from Diastello, that which was being commanded. And now we get a quotation here, and this comes from Exodus 19, the Septuagint. Kan thurion thige to oros. Kan for kai ean, and thige is aorist subjunctive from thingano, theta iota double gamma alpha nu omega. The root is thig, means to touch, and it takes a genitive. So, and if a therion, a wild beast, it's a diminutive, if a wild beast might touch the mountain, genitive here, it will be stoned to death. You can see this is a future passive here. See the lithos and the bowl from ballo. So it will be stoned to death. Kai huto phoberon ein to phantasdomenon me uses apen ekphobosemi kai entromos. And Moses said, and then we get, well, Moses says the following, but it's something like, and the to phantasdomenon. Phantasdo is to make visible, and that which was being made visible was so terrifying. Now we normally expect a hottie here, but we don't get it. So it was so terrifying, almost that Moses said, "I am terrified, ekphobos. I'm frightened out of my wits. I'm terrified, and entromos, and trembling." That part is not in the Septuagint, and this quotation is from Deuteronomy 9. This little bit. Ala pros eleuthati sion ore kai pole theou tsontos hieros salom ep uranio kai muria sin angelon pan agure kai ecclesia prototokon apogegramenon en uranois kai krite theo panton, kai pneumas indikaion, tetelion menon, kai diathekes neas mesite Jesu, kai haimati rantis mu creton lelunti paraton abel. So a long sentence here, so this is in comparison with what we had back in 18. It says you did not approach, etc., etc. And now he says, but you have approached Mount Zion, and this is taking a dative, and as before, we're going to get a whole string of datives after this verb of approaching. So that you have approached Mount Zion, and you've approached the city, dative, of the living God, and you have approached the heavenly Jerusalem, and this is from myriad, which word meaning 10,000. This is the dative plural here, so it's myriads of angels. Panagure, it's a good old classical word, probably a dialect word originally. It means a gathering. The roots of it originally from pan, of course, and the agur is from probably an old Doric root connected with agero, to gather. So all gathered together. So this now becomes panaguris is the nominative. It's a third declension feminine noun meaning a gathering. And it's in the dative after this. You have approached a gathering. And an ecclesia, well, some translations say church at this point, perhaps just another holy gathering or something. You can say church perhaps if you like. Prototoko, and this picks up the prototokia back in verse 16, of the firstborn, apogegramenon, having been enrolled or inscribed in the heavens, and you have approached the God, who is the judge of all, and you have approached the spirits of the just who have been perfected. Perfect passive participle here. And you have approached the mesite. We've had that word before in Hebrews. It means mediator, and Yesu here is in the dative. So you have approached Jesus, the mediator of the new covenant, and you have approached the blood, literally the blood of rantismu, of sprinkling. We would normally say the sprinkling of blood, but the Greek does it the other way around here. So dative, you have approached the blood of sprinkling, and this is in dative agreeing with the haimati, literally speaking, creton, better, or perhaps a better word you might put in. So literally speaking better compared with Abel. It's fairly compact, perhaps to expand it a bit, speaking a better word than the blood of Abel, I think as some of the translations say. So that's the next part of chapter 12.